Whether it be two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, you guys know the drill. It does not matter what you drive. But tonight is exclusively Bronco Talk. What is going on, everybody? I've got a secret guest that I'm going to bring in just a second, but I wanted to say hi to everybody, man. I've been on the road for 2 weeks, and I'm ready to enjoy some whiskey, talk to some of my good friends here, and we'll go international night. We'll put it that way. And I'm going to talk to the king of Mavericks, because there's a guy in Canada now. I've been watching his videos on Mavericks, and he's like killing it, but he's also a Bronco owner. So if that gives you a little bit of a hint who we're going to talk to tonight, I'll let you guys stew on that just for a second. But hopefully my audio and everything, you can hear me tonight. We don't have Kelly here. We're not trying to share a mic. I have more mics, by the way, too. Every time Kelly tops on here, I'm like, we can't hear her. We can't hear her. And I'm like, hey, just let me. I had a lot of road work I had to do, so I have it set up next time Kelly's aboard. And so let's just do this. Let me go ahead and bring in our guest, because he's a big deal. He doesn't think he's a big deal, but he's a very, very big deal in the YouTube world, and especially with Ford. So tonight, as you can see, we got Mr. Johnny Car Care. What's going on, buddy?
Hey Dave, how are you, my friend?
Dude, I am way better than I should be, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. You got me right at the perfect time. You asked me to do this show tonight, and I was all ready for your show. I was, a little pre-drink. I said I want to get just right for Dave's show, and got this invitation. I was like, man, this night can't get any better. This is lit, as they say.
Oh man, I don't know what lit means anymore. I don't. I'm way too old to know these hip terms. But man, so Canada has to be getting a little chilly now, right? I see you've got your hoodie on. How is
Yeah, no, it is getting cold. It's getting cold. Heck, yeah, you wake up in the morning, you walk the dog, you freeze your buns off. Come noon, you're in a t-shirt and you're thinking you should be wearing sandals, and come night you're back to freezing. So that's the weather we're getting over here. It's bipolar, really.
well? I had a friend that is, because I just wrapped up a Nissan event that I was running, and a friend of mine came down from Saskatchewan, the Regina area, and she says it rhymes with fun, whatever that means. I don't I don't exactly know what that means. I don't want to know. But yeah, she was telling me, she was like, yeah, she come down, and we were in the 80-degree temperatures here in Middle Tennessee, and she was like soaking up all the sun. She's like, we're about to go into just cold weather, and I don't want to deal with it. But what's funny for me and you is, so you've got your Bronco, and you're just getting a taste of that kind of going topless life with taking that top
Oh
off
yeah.
and stuff, and now it's getting cold, and that's got to be kind of a a bad word, right?
Yeah, it is actually. It's funny that you touch on that, because one morning Marie-Pierre, she came outside and she goes, we're gonna have to put the snow brushes in the cars.
Oh
And
no.
I'm usually a pretty friendly, nice guy, and I think it's one of the rare times I was like, "Shut your mouth," and she's like, "What? Pardon me?" And I was like, "You heard me." I was like, you're gonna throw me into a deep depression. I just get the Bronco, and you're telling me that snow's coming. Like, anyways, reminding me of that darn Game of Thrones where they talk about winter coming, but in Canada it actually comes before season 8. So total crap fest. And no, it is depressing. We've got lamps out here and vitamin D to try to keep us peppy, but no, it's coming. And the worst part in all of it is, I want to provide content that's interesting to my channel.
Right.
And I'm a crazy car guy. I've been dreaming of, I was dreaming about owning cars when I was 6 years old, going through the auto trader and whatnot, and searching up parts and everything. And no, I'm gonna have to probably sell the Bronco so that I can take on the Ford Lightning. And the Ford Lightning, if Ford
I heard some.
does their,
I heard somebody laughing in the background. Is
yeah,
that your partner over there?
yeah, that's Mary Pierre laughing at me. She doesn't get it. She's like, just keep the Bronco. It's very nice. And I'm like, no, hun, you don't understand. Like, I gotta have good stuff for the channel, and like, I want to have fun, but I want people to have fun with me. So I have to take on the Lightning. And Bronco One. The idea was that's the model once it's protected, and I actually have the sacks for the doors. I can take them off, take it off roading, and give it heck, and then hope to not lose that much because it's scratched. Because I figure someone will say, hey, it's scratched, but it's the only Bronco I can get my hands on, so they'll settle like a bad prom date. And I was hoping that I could move on to this Lightning. But the Lightning, I bet Ford's gonna Ford was late on the Bronco, but I bet they'll be on time for the Lightning. It'll come right when the weather starts getting nice in spring.
Oh
I'll
yeah.
have no top to take off, and then all summer I'll be not really swearing, but almost swearing about how I don't have a darn Bronco that I can take the top off while I only enjoy, the fast acceleration of a Lightning. So, anyways, that's what's
Well,
going on out here.
well, you're Canadian, so I can't imagine like you're having a there's no swear words. You're a happy country. You're just there. There's no swearing in Canada, by the way. But first off, I have to say, so I haven't got to crack this open yet. So Johnny, you told me you're kind of ahead of me there. So
Yeah.
I've gotta jump in this. My Honest Smith, my viewer on here, he keeps me in whiskey and bourbon for some reason, man, and I'm not gonna complain about it by any means. And hopefully I can get this thing open. And but Johnny, what are you sipping on over there tonight? You told me you were starting a little early. What's
Yeah.
what are you drinking on there?
It's I usually hit up the McClellan's nice scotch, and it's a those snobby scotches. You pay twice the price for what you get out of a whiskey or a bourbon. Actually, you Americans, you do liquor so well because you make a hard liquor and it's not pretentious. You don't overcharge for it. And it's just tasty stuff with a whole lot of flavor. And when you want to taste more than like two flavors or three flavors in scotch, you got to go big. You got to spend a lot. So tonight I'm actually to save a little bit. Well, I went through all the expensive stuff on your other live videos. Thanks a lot, Dave.
Sorry,
And I'm
I need a
yeah,
liquor. I need somebody from the liquor industry to sponsor the show. So keep my guests in check there with their alcohol.
fair enough, fair enough. No, tonight it's just a little Grants, so it's not a single malt, but it is a decent malt. But it's what probably my favorite drink is. Are we allowed to mention brands on this? Is that all
Dude,
right?
there's no that we mention whatever we want on this show.
Oh, great! I absolutely love wild turkey, and even more than wild turkey when I have some in stock when I haven't emptied the bottle. I believe it's called. I go through it so fast I have trouble with the name, but Elijah something or another,
Hmm.
and that's a bourbon that you guys make that's just great. But no, wild turkey is a pretty big staple in the home.
Well, so honest, if you're on here, this is my first sip of the Henry McKenna that you sent me, and it's a 10 years, so I'm kind of. It smells really good, by the way. Oh man, oh that's not heavy at all. That's very nice. You get a nice taste of the wood there. Um, so you got your Bronco, man, and guys, I'm going to get to the airbags and all that, but I haven't talked to Johnny in over almost 2 months since the last time we talked. We got some catching up to do, but. So you got your Bronco, and I didn't even like. You were very very quiet about it. You did drop that video of you in front of the Jeep dealership, and I was like, wait, when I knew because I knew you were close, but I was like, and then you did the sneaky video where you didn't tell your partner there what was going on, and that was a fun video, and I was really enjoying that, man. But how did you keep all that a secret?
Just on a quick side note, I think it was Aristotle, the first guy who said that you're sort of the combination of the five people you spend the most time around. And when I dropped that Jeep video, speaking of being a combination of the five people you spend around, I've missed you, buddy. Glad to be back on the show.
Well, I
And
appreciate you
the
being here.
Jeep thing, I had you purely in sights. I was thinking, yeah, Dave, I want to, I want to call out Dave on this one. I'm going to go back into his hometown, Jeep territory, and I kind of want to get through out a little joke to you, and I'm happy you caught on. But no, for I don't know for the secret. I told Marie Pierre Ford. It's kind of on Ford's fault. They told me that the thing would show up end of September, and how things have been going at Ford with F-150s. When they say end of a month, it could be 1, 2, 3, even 4 months later
Right,
because of chip shortages.
right.
So I told Mary Pierre, I was like, hey, we'll probably get it as a Christmas present. So keeping it from her wasn't tough, but I actually knew 4 days earlier that it was headed to Montreal. So I knew it was on the way. So those last 4 days, real tough to keep it from her. But yeah, well worth it. Very much well worth it. But it made it so that I did kind of buy some stuff that maybe she didn't approve of. Um, but hey, what can you do?
Well, where is Miss Mary? I wanna wave and say hi. Is she still with you there?
She's actually
Oh,
she set up the show for me because I'm
well, you're a big deal
completely
is why.
computer illiterate.
You're a big deal.
Yeah.
That's why. Let's come on. Always be selling, man. But anyways, tell her I said hi, and dude. I was pumped to see that the color that you got. I was iffy. I was like, me and Kelly when we were talking about jumping back into the Bronco order situation. We're like, well, we done time with the FE, and I forget what was your colors again on yours. The blue.
Velocity blue is what I ended up with, but
Mm-hmm.
I was originally antimatter.
But the FE gets what? I never remember the two blues.
Lightning,
Lightning.
lightning blue.
So we had done a whole weekend in that lightning, and that color is why that's just limited to FE. I don't know because it's a great color, but then we were kind of back and forth. Well, if they go away with our rapid red, maybe the other blue would work, but we didn't get to see it. And then I see in your video after I put my order back in and got my order, I see that blue, and I'm like, oh my god, that's a great color, man.
Thanks, thanks. Yeah, too bad I ruined it with those stripes. You know, what can a guy do? It's Marie Pierre listens to me the way about car stuff, the way I listen to her about Renos. You know, I'll be sitting around or working away, and she'll be like chatting and saying like, "Hey," and then ask me a question. I know the phrase ended with a question, so the right answer is yes every time.
Of
You want
course,
to make your wife happy, say yes. I
of
don't know
course.
what I said yes to. So when we first moved in here, like 3 years of renovations got pumped into like 10 weeks. So that was my fault. I said yes without knowing, but she said yes to the stripes without really knowing. Like I even showed her the photo. I'm like, hey, does this look good? And she's like, oui, 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 c'est beau, c'est beau. And when it showed up, man, she completely forgot that she had said it would look good and everything. And she's like, wow, that's just complete garbage. What were you thinking? Like, she's like, you have no style. Like, I have to dress you every morning. You are a child. And I was like, oh man, you're really ripping into me, even worse than the guys at work who are like, when are you going to leave your wife and, have your common law marriage or whatever? So
Right?
the guys at work were pretty hard. But I think those stickers, I'm going to defend them. Ford actually made really nice stickers for maybe what I would call, if I can speak freely, a more boring color, like a safe color, like that carbonized gray. It's a safe color. You know, it doesn't show dirt. It is a little boring. So, you need to ideally maybe if you want something that catches the eye a little more, throw on some stickers, either some black stickers or, those I think those sunset stickers would look great on the charcoal or the carbonized gray.
Well, I have to say I've kind of dogged those stickers a little bit on certain colors. I'm cool with it, and I will never. Everybody's vehicle is their vehicle, so I will say the sunset stuff is not for me. But I respect you doing it, and if you're happy, I'm happy. We'll say that. That's the nicest. That's my nicest American way to say that. But no, like I mean, but the cool thing with stickers is if you don't like them, guess what? Down the road, you just peel them off and do something else. I've got a buddy that's into vinyl and he cuts all kinds of vinyl all the time and he's constantly changing his vehicle. And I'm like, I'll just like what he does. And then I'll see it in person. I'm like, what? You always changing. So, well, let's kind of go through your truck just a little bit because what were you surprised about? I mean, you got to drive them before,
Yeah.
you got to sit in them. You kind of knew what you were to expect. But after having one now, and you have, is it the 2.3 or the 2.7?
Oh, 227.
Okay,
And
okay. I'm just making sure
yeah.
I'm checking your manhood on that one there. Um, but what?
Yeah, I've stripes. My manhood's already in question. You know, the guys at work are saying I'm gonna leave Marie for another man, which is fine if that
Of
would be my
course,
thing. But
of course.
it's I maybe misrepresenting with the stripes on the blue, but the manhood's there. It's a 2.7. It is a beefy silent killer.
But what has been your living with that engine now? How is it? What is it? Everything you thought it is? More, better, worse? What's
More.
going on?
Oh, so much more. As you know, I had to drop my 5 liter Mustang. I
Hmm.
had put aside, a year's payments for the Bronco, and Maddie was like, "No, no, you got to pay debt with that, school and whatnot."
Right.
So paid off some debt, and don't regret it one bit. I thought I'd really miss the Mustang every single time I've tried to trade out of Mustangs, and I mean, this has been going on for 10 years. It's an on-running joke. I'll sell a Mustang, buy something that costs less, and be unhappy for 6 months and then change back into a Mustang. And people are like, dude, by now you would have had I could have cleared like 3 Mustangs by now.
Right.
But instead I'm always changing these new vehicles and usually end up with being upside down. Thankfully the Bronco, as we all know, probably you won't be upside down if you try to trade that after 6 months. So
Right.
that's pretty darn cool. I actually made money with the Mustang. So, the wife Marie Pierre, she's like, no, no, you got to pay off debt. You got to make money with that car. But yeah, the 2.7 liter has actually been pretty incredible. I'm surprised on how much it accelerates from 1500 to 2000 RPM. You're like, hey, this is really actually pretty nice. And then from 2000 to 3000 RPM, you're like, hey, I better hold on to the steering wheel. And as a driver, you never quite experience the acceleration in its true form because you're holding onto the steering wheel, you're really like gripped in. But I had a passenger who has a Fusion plug-in, and so like an ordinary vehicle in regards to power, about give or take 200 horsepower, almost 200 pound-feet of torque. And he was the passenger, and he was like, he's a Canadian, and he swore. And I was like, oh man, this is serious. I got this guy to swear. This is a big deal. I got to take the wife on this trail that going through sort of like half road, half trail. So yeah, the 2.7 liter is amazing for all those V8 guys out there who've been saying crapping on Broncos for not having a V8. The 2.7 is boss. It's
I,
total boss.
well, the thing with that too is Ford is never going down that V8 path, and I want to get into this later, but just hinting on Raptor, like it doesn't need it. So
No.
this past week, I was doing a bunch of reviews, and I've got a Jeep 392 review that I'm working on, and ridiculous, just ridiculous. It sounds perfect, everything about it, but I'll be honest, it's too much power. In these size of vehicles, I don't need 400 or 500 horsepower. In off road, I have zero need for 400 or 500. Now, do I like it? Of course. And if they put a V8 in a Bronco, yeah, I'd be all about it. But I think the 2.7 is perfect in this thing, and I think you can tune it with just a slight tune, and you would never know it wasn't a V8.
Yeah, no, I got to agree with that. And actually, I had a 2016 Mustang 2.3 liter,
Mm-hmm.
and I switched into a GT 2015. Now, keep in mind, the 2015 GT is not, Gen 3 of the V8 5 liter. It's not as updated, it's not as high tech, and it was definitely like from going from a 15 to an 18 Mustang GT, I definitely felt a whole lot more power
Mm-hmm.
and like instant power, much more instant power. The 2015 was basically boring at low RPM, and I kind of missed my 2.3 liter when playing around, taking off from like what would be for you guys 35 miles per hour to 60 miles per hour, whereas the
Right.
GT, the 2.3 liter would basically die somewhat at 60
Yeah.
miles per hour, whereas the 5 liter would really start to really wake up at 50 miles per hour plus. But the 2.3 liter at low RPM was a whole lot more fun. And that's the thing. The 2.7 liter, I've got to say, is a lot more fun at low RPM. So, and I haven't tried the 392, so I'm a little jelly here, and I can't wait to get your thoughts on that. I'm going to be, biting at the grip to hear that, but I'm still thinking that maybe the 2.7 liter on low RPM is more fun than the 392 from Jeep.
Well, I can't. I can't say that. It's so torquey. That 392 is so
Oh,
torquey.
really?
But,
Okay.
but I will say this. So the 2.3 that was in those Mustangs, I right when those came out, was it 15 when that car came out? I don't remember when they did that.
Hmm.
So I was playing around with one of those, and I had an Infinity G35 at the time with a small, not small V6, but what is it, 3.5, I think is what they had in those at the time. And that little Mustang could eat me alive till it hit about 4,000 RPMs, and dude, it would just die. Yes, and
Yeah.
that's where I would just clear house, man. But
Yeah.
no, you're right about that engine is like, it was funny. Like, yeah, 0 to 50, 60, somewhere in there. It felt like a big engine, and then you get the little bit of the turbos done, and after that, don't race anybody. But you've been pretty impressed with it. Now, you did not get the Sasquatch package, if I remember right, right?
No, that's right. That's right.
So you just got the normal Badlands, which looks great. I was looking. The last one I looked at was the video I did where I was walking around the dealership, 25K on it, and me and the wife were walking around. And she's like, "We don't need the Sasquatch package. This looks great." Now, I want the Sasquatch package, but that's the one thing I'm not skimping on. But I have to say, with the what 33s on that vehicle, what 285s I think is what they're putting on that. Looks freaking great, man. How is getting in and out? You and your significant other there happy to get in and out of that vehicle?
She, you know, I'm slightly taller than her, and I'm actually kind of having to jump into the Badlands.
Hmm.
So, Marie Pierre, we have so much Bronco content that we haven't had time to publish because we're focusing on the Maverick stuff. My community seems to be going crazy for Maverick
I've
stuff, and I want to give
noticed.
people I want to give them what they want. And
Right.
I think that's only, it's about being fair with people. And so, anyways, I'm throwing out Maverick content. I must have 2 hours worth of Bronco film stuff. But anyways, we went to film a Big Ben Bronco Sasquatch, which I don't understand because it comes out to the same price basically as my Badlands. Mind you, it had high package, so it actually has, it's not the poor man's edition like
Yeah.
my Badlands. It has heated seats, it has the 12-inch screen in Baja mode. It's so cool. You can be driving along, you have to lie to the system and say, no, I am off-roading, I'm not on the main roads, but you can drive, full speed with that front camera. But there's things that just really bugged me about the Big Ben Sasquatch. I don't understand why it exists. It doesn't, you end up spending Badlands money, but you don't have LED lights in the front.
Well, how do you think all these people? So everybody was rushing to Big Ben because Ford, that was the one that nobody was buying. So Ford was like, "Hey, I need to get these out," and everybody's overpaying for those. I'm seeing $60,000 US for that. And then once the rush is over, and I think by next summer, those people are going to regret overpaying, I believe, for that vehicle. I think the Bronco is going to hold value, but I don't think those trims, once people realize, oh, this isn't a near a top trim, that I think that kind of comes back to reality.
Yeah, I'd agree. And just to properly answer your last question, so Marie Pierre and I at 5'10", we're both about 5'10". We actually have to jump into the vehicle,
Right.
and that's a bad land. So the Sasquatch would actually be more vehicle than we can handle.
Mm-hmm.
And every Sasquatch package, including Wild Track, also content I haven't published. We got a Wild Track today. It's
Oh,
Dirt
nice.
Mountain and Dirt Mountain Broncos. It's funny. This thing actually came with Bronco Dirt Mountain Dirt. So I told the general
Nice.
manager at the dealer, I'm like, hey, dark web stuff. People will pay big money for this
Yes.
sand. Like
Yes.
this is like religious holy grail part of the cross stuff
You
going
put that in
on.
one of
So
those little glass vials. Yeah,
yeah, that's
man.
right. You sell that for $1,000 is
Yeah.
basically what I was trying to get him across. And he sent it down to get washed. And I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're doing. But anyways, I said I'd wrap that dirt rate on it. But
Yep.
it doesn't even have it's a Wild Track. It's 70,000 Canadian MSRP, so it's the most expensive model. He took
Right.
high pack Lux package. He has leather. So anyways, he doesn't have rocker guards. Like it's supposed to be the ultimate off-road machine. It's king of the hill, and he doesn't
Literally.
have rock panels.
Right.
And yeah, it looks great. He's got a black grill. He's got an awesome Wild Track sticker on it. But it just seems like I don't understand how the Badlands can have so much stuff, including trailer bar disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's got this Wild Track that he paid 7,000 Canadian extra for. And
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, dude, how's your disconnect going? And like, I
Yeah.
got to be nice, otherwise he'll cut me off. I got to stay polite and say nice things to him.
Right.
He'll cut me right off. He won't give me the inside scoop, but he's like, hey, you're the fourth person to tell me that. I'm getting pretty tired of it. And I was like, hey, have a nice day. I'll go take photos of your Bronco.
Well, I really do think like they could do away with Big Ben and Wild Track. And I know there was a lot of Wild Track orders, but especially once we get into Raptor, which we'll go down this path a little bit. Wild Track is sort of a Raptor-ish, it was supposed to be a desert running, like high speed off road. And now Ford's not even hinting anymore. They're like showing part of the vehicle. And I'm lost at what they're doing. They can't, I know this sounds like a broken record, but they can't get vehicles out as is. Stop introducing new vehicles. And I don't know if they're hoping to some people cancel these orders or want to switch to Raptor. But I have a feeling Raptor, I've seen a lot of comments in my videos about, hey, I'm just going to have my reservation switched over to a Raptor. And I'm like, good luck, because that's not how it works. The Raptor will be its own unique reservation.
Yeah.
And where in Canada, where do you think the price is going to be for you guys with that thing? Because I think here in the U.S., $75,000 to $80,000 U.S. Man, I think it's going to be expensive.
And that's the thing. Here in Canada, we rarely have markup. We're too nice
Mhm.
for that, I guess. But we do have markup on SVT.
Hmm.
And sometimes I tell other Canadians about this, and they basically tell me to, they're like, shut your mouth. That can't be true. And I'm like, no, really. Like there are SVT dealers. They've got this $150,000 banner per year to pay.
Hmm.
And, they've got to charge markup for, let's say the 20 or 30 vehicles they're going to sell in Mustangs. And let's say the 15 to 20 Raptors they're going to sell. They need to have markup to survive. But the Raptor Bronco is going to be, I would suspect, heavily marked up, even in Canada. And it's probably going to pass and not even bother anyone
Yeah.
because I've never heard anyone complain on the internet with, let's say the MSRP, give or take, is 90 some thousand for an F-150 Raptor. These things consistently have always sold for about 125 to 135,
Wow.
and no one's ever complained on the internet, and that's a huge markup. And the Shelbys have always sold pretty much for more. Heck, I know in this situation, I know of this one case where a dealer wanted um, a Shelby Mustang. And the thing, it's rare enough, and he wanted a particular color. So it had to come from the other side of a very, well, like you guys, a very wide country. So it came
Right.
from Calgary, and the dealer bought it at window sticker from another dealer. So the
Wow.
other dealer was like, hey, we'll do you a favor. We won't charge you an extra 20 for it. And then when that dealer had to resell it to their client, of course, there's transport in there. There's a
Hmm.
bit of markup to, just time.
Right.
Everyone's time
Right.
is worth something. But yeah, no, it's the Raptor Bronco is gonna cost a fortune in Canada. And no, you're right. You cannot just swap your reservation to one. That's not going to work whatsoever. It's going to have its own reservation system, and people are probably going to fight each other over them, and it's going to be worse than what we've seen so far. And I don't look forward to covering that.
Well, I'll be honest. I'm probably going to put and I'm the guy saying we don't need a Raptor Bronco, but I'm probably going to put a reservation in on it because we've seen, and this sounds horrible, but we've seen so many people making money on just a goofy Big Ben Bronco, and
Goofy.
I have zero issue buying one, maybe having it for a few weeks and just flipping the thing because why not? If somebody's willing to pay off my other Bronco, who cares? And there was a guy that was emailing me with back in July, and he's like, and I just didn't believe him, and he was dead on. He was like, man, I've yet to do my reservation on a Bronco. He says, I guarantee you, I have one before half the people have one. And I was like, I don't know about that one, man. And we had a long email chain about it, but at the end of the day, he was right. He was like, I'll pay 5-10 grand more and I'll have it when I want it. And you fools can be out there fighting each other, over the airbag issue now that supposedly there or whatever Dirt Mountain issue or whatever. And this guy was dead on. He's like, he's out there enjoying it. He's probably had it, flipped it, and with the Raptor, I I have to think that's. I mean, I think that happened early on with the SVT stuff. I think that people, initially it didn't take off. Like the Raptors were like people just didn't know what they were, and then they finally took off. But I think Ford will do okay with the Raptor, but I don't personally see a need for it.
Yeah, and no, you're right. It really didn't take off at first. I remember back in 2014, visiting my brother's been working for almost 30 years at Ford,
Hmm.
and he had two Boss Mustangs. And he's like, "Hey, you want a Boss Mustang? They're sitting around. I'll give you a real deal on it."
Right.
And I looked at it. There was a red one and a yellow one, and I was like, "Yeah, what kind of deal?" And it was like 5,000 below MSRP. And oh man, do I ever kick myself for not picking that up? I feel so stupid because what is it? Well, it's not 10 years, but 7 years later, I could sell the thing more than what I could have bought it for. I could have ran it 7 years and made like $5,000 or $6,000
Yeah.
because now that special, rare, more special edition stuff is taking off, and it went from being unpopular and not a big deal to just not making any sense. We went from one extreme to another, really.
Right, right. Once the hype kicked in, everybody had to have it. And then I see them on construction sites, and I'm like, you're just ruining a beautiful sports truck.
Mm.
They just trash them, man. It's a shame. But so up in your land, you got the soft top, if I remember right, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Are
That's
you
that is correct.
are you a little worried now though with the chillier weather kicking in that maybe this might not have been a great idea, or are you like, you know what, it's fine?
Yes and no. Yes and no. I'm more worried about Marie because she's very sensitive to the cold.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I had a neighbor walk by this morning. He's like, "Oh yeah, it's getting really cold, eh?" And I was like, "Well, I was going for walks at 7 a.m. in a t-shirt, up until yesterday. And today I put on a sweater because I
Yeah.
got told to do it, long sleeves because I got told to do so. So the cold weather doesn't really bother me. I remember at one point I used to be forced at 4 a.m. to jog in, I think it was October 8th. It was 4 degrees, t-shirt and shorts. I don't remember what my group had done wrong, but anyways, it was raining and we were like in 4 or 5 degree weather. That I did find cold. And I of course I'm speaking in Celsius because I think four
Right.
degrees in your temperature, I would have been an ice cube.
Mm-hmm.
But that's slightly above freezing here. But no,
Okay.
the top, I'm convinced is going to be pretty decent. One, the cloth looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I expected it to kind of be like a Jeep's top.
Right.
So I expected it to be more vinyl-y, but no, the cloth on the top is really good. It is really good at purling water. So the water just kind of beads off of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, the only thing that's slightly annoying is if I don't listen to the radio. And I'm a big music guy.
Right.
So I'm always listening to music, but I have tested it for the channel. I'm like, well, I'll turn off the music and see what it sounds like. And the back little plastic windows do kind of occasionally flop around and make some noise. But no, that thing's gonna. I'm convinced that will cut out the cold, even though it is one layer thick. Which originally, when I was comparing it to my Mustang, I have winter driven 3 winters in Mustangs,
Mm-hmm.
and hardtop or soft top Mustang, no difference. And I thought the Bronco soft top would be complete crap in the winter. And so far, I've been driving it in slightly above freezing,
Right.
and I don't it heats up quick and it doesn't seem to be letting in the cold. So no, I got to give it to Ford. They did good on that. Now the side windows, I have noticed you either got to be all the way up or all the way down
Yeah.
if you have bad roads, because if you have bad roads and you're halfway, they're going to make a ton of noise and really just shake. That I got to say, I can't I don't want to say it on my channel, so I'll say it
Right.
on yours. But
Wait, 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 wait. No, I'm
maybe
playing.
that's because of this here. And if
But
Marie's
first,
nice,
hey,
she'll get me a
cheers,
refill.
cheers. By the way,
Cheers. Yeah.
we'll get. There's too much ice in that glass.
Yeah, I know. I
Terrence,
agree.
thank you for that super chat, man. Thank you, dude. You're nuts, man. I do appreciate that greatly. The viewers now are saying we're gonna have to call your channel Johnny Lightning, instead of Johnny Car Care if you're going to the Lightning. And they're asking, are you really thinking about trading your Bronco in for the Lightning?
I don't want to.
Yeah.
I really don't want to. And Marie doesn't want me to either. And I tell her, I'm like, hey, remember when you made me sell my Mustang? I could have had both dream vehicles and you forced me to pay off debt, which
Right.
was smart. I'm
Right.
like, the Bronco I can drive probably for 6 to 7, maybe 8 months and get back the money I paid for it.
Right.
So drive it for free. I'm like, why wouldn't I sell it? And the Lightning, there was a time in my life where I felt like I had to do a public service. I had to do my civic duty and serve, I had to do something that was good for everyone.
Of course.
And I can't do that anymore. And it's been bothering me now for the last, 10, 12 years. And giving at the university, when I was just giving students fines for misbehavior, I didn't really feel like I was accomplishing anything in life. But at least through my channel, I feel like I can provide good info, and I figure if I can appropriately cover the Lightning, well, then I'm doing something good in the world, and that's what I got to do. So yeah, I'll pick up a Lightning because it's the right, I feel like it's the thing that will make me feel fulfilled, I guess.
Well, and there is a hybrid Bronco coming. So that could be like in between, right? Like you get the Bronco and you sort of get EV, like, and I'll be honest. So
Yeah.
great segue by me. I should pat myself on the back. So this past week, I also was testing the Wrangler 4xe, and I have to say I was not impressed at all. I know a lot of people.
Really?
Yes, a lot of people
Oh
were like
man.
all about like, oh my god, this thing. We're getting what is it, up to 21 miles or something, actual EV, and the thing drove horrible. I mean, it just drove like a big log driving down the street. Not that Wranglers drive perfect anyways, but I was
No.
so disappointed in this vehicle. But it was in the Barbie pink. Or I don't know if you've seen I don't know if it'll be in Canada or not, but they have
Uh,
let me grab a picture of this because it's a weird fuchsia. I can't even describe it. It's not for me.
Fuchsia will sell more than Barbie pink. You may have used like the nail in the coffin, calling it Barbie pink now. The 10 people that wanted one are now like, you know what? I think I'll pick out another
Oh
color.
wait. So let's see. Where are you at, Johnny? So I don't know if you can. Stupid light's gonna screw it up.
Yeah, that's no, that I can see that. That's pretty awful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so here for the viewers, you can see there's the 4xe I was testing this past week, but I have to say, like the EV, it felt heavy. I don't know if it's just the battery pack or it's doing the regenerative braking. So when you're going down a hill, you let off in your car, you kind of expect it to kind of cruise a little bit. With that regenerative braking in these things, man, it wanted to stop you. And now I never got into playing with there's levels of that you can adjust it, and I'm hoping Ford nails that home a little better when they do a hybrid version. But
They will.
it was bad, and I know a lot of reviewers that were there, they all liked it, and I I'm kind of a no nonsense. If I don't like something, I'm not going to sit here and sell my audience on like, oh, it was perfect. So when Ford does it, Ford, I know you watch these. Please do better than Jeep, because the Jeep one honestly felt rushed. It just felt like, oh crap, we got to have some sort of EV in a Jeep now. And now they're doing it in all their, the Grand Cherokee's getting it and something else. And oh man, Johnny, we got to get you to come down to one of these events. By the way, man, you got to escape Canada and come to Austin with me sometime, and we'll get you a part of that because I think you would have a blast there.
Yeah, it's funny. Marie-Pierre and I were just talking about that this week because this weekend she kind of mentioned, she's like, hey, you work 50 some hours, then you put in 20 to 30 hours into your channel.
Hmm.
She's like, I don't really see you that much. And I was like, yeah, but I'm doing
She's
this so that one day, and I said it jokingly, but not jokingly. I was like, one day we will get to go to Nashville and we'll meet up with Dave.
Of
We'll
course.
get to have some good drinks,
Dinner's
some
on me,
good
by the way.
times.
Dinner is on me. Um,
Cool.
but yes, no, like really, like so the event that I was doing, it was just a bunch of auto journalists and stuff, and I consider you you cover the industry now, so I consider that we just got to get you past forward slightly. You got to move just a inch out to another brand or two every once in a while, uh,
Yeah.
but no, and I was bummed that Ford didn't have anything at this event, Ford or Chevy. It was dominated by Jeep. There was Alfa Romeos. There was a Maserati SUV that was freaking awesome. But yeah, this.
Yeah, the red one, right? That looked
Mhm.
that looked really good. The Alfa Romeo, I was watching that and I was like, ooh,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is
with
sharp.
the Clover, and the brand was there, and they were talking about the Clover, and it's like, I don't care about your Clover. I just want to drive your car, and it's pretty wicked. Um, so what's coming up on your channel, man? Where are you going? You said you had a bunch of footage. Can you
Yeah.
give my small audience compared to you, just give them a taste of what Johnny Lightning's got coming up?
No, no, that's funny because I think your audience is actually twice as big as mine, and they love you, and I'm part of your audience, and
Well, and
you're
I'm part of yours, man.
yeah, well, you've actually been my favorite YouTuber for quite some time now, so
Well,
take that as
sorry,
it is.
sorry about
But
that.
no, no, no. It's a good influence. It got me drinking on Tuesdays. What can I say? But yeah, well, I sent a text when I was playing with my phone earlier. I was
Oh.
like, Marie-Pierre, need more booze. Please send some up.
She's like,
She's
no.
ignoring me. Yeah,
I
but
understand.
no, something I love about your channel, just before I answer your question, something I absolutely love about your channel is you do really honestly review stuff. And I've noticed, when you don't like something, you point it out and you really dive into it. And that's pretty cool because it's legit, because I feel like on YouTube and really any automobile journalist, and I've been reading stuff from, I still have my stuff from my other video here. I've been reading car journals from the 1970s. And usually to grab attention and sell, it's either excessively negative about the smallest, stupidest thing that has like an easy solution, or it's excessively positive when something's actually bad, but it's because, there's all sorts of advertising in the journal. And that has driven me crazy, but it's nice to come across. And this is why I follow you so closely. It's because, you say it as it is. And if something bugs you, you say it. And if there is an easy solution, like I remember I think you're the first basically to cover the Bronco tops not having the closed off lips. And, right off, I was like, oh man, that is a big mistake. I think we probably both felt that it wasn't necessarily a design issue. It was just we don't want to pay for more plastic issue. And when you don't when you don't make the plastic thick enough, well, of course, then the water can come in. It can, expand. And I think, Ford was probably realizing it right away, like, hey, this is going to do horrible in the fall season.
Yeah.
So all dirt mountains got basically kept off. And it is very funny how quickly they dumped those tops right in the parking lots. And I think they didn't really want anyone to see that those things would have taken on water. They said it was just a matter of an aesthetic issue, but I really do feel it was more
No,
than an aesthetic issue. I
not
think
at
that thing
all.
would have
Yeah.
soaked water like a dirty old fiberglass boat.
Well, the thing of, and I didn't when I had Dr. Detroit's first edition, and he showed me on the top, and I didn't want to beat a dead horse to death really, but he showed me where they were taking some RTV and just trying to shove it in those cracks on the edges, trying to hide the fact that it was doing that. And you're like, well, but I've said it. Ford knew they had to get those out. The Bronco was so delayed. They said, hey, 21, they're coming. And if they would have waited to fix that issue, because they knew back in January this was an issue. I've got inside sources that told me this, that they knew, but they had to get them out. There was deadlines, and it's not just like deadlines to get you a vehicle. There's part orders. They've got responsibilities to vendors. They've ordered this stuff. These vendors got people they've hired. They have to get these things moving. And but yeah, I think if they would have held off, you would have in 20 we would have ordered 22s basically. Like you would have never gotten one this year. Let's see. Panzer was talking about regenerative braking is adjustable. Yes, it is adjustable on that, but I didn't want to. Honestly, I had such a bad experience driving that Wrangler that my review will be real short on it, and I had just little interest in it. After 5 minutes behind the wheel, I was just like, oh, this is going to be a long ride. But I will say this too, though. Sometimes, you were saying I'm honest. I know with talking to some of the media, or not the media, the PR, they don't like honesty, guys. So sometimes if you guys are like, hey man, when are you going to do this? When are you going to cover this or that? It's like, I can reach out to them, and I've been told by GM, hey man, we have nothing for you. And it's like, well, okay, I'll just go to my dealership eventually and get your product. So, and then there's Ratty Rides and some of these guys that they've made a killing with videos, and that's all they do is just they will go to select events, but they just goes to his dealership and gets cars, and who cares? But let's see. There was a couple comments I know that probably for both of us. I want to grab in here real quick. And by the way, John, I do appreciate you last minute jumping on here.
I don't know, it's good. It's perfect. You caught me when I was pre-drinking for your show, and normally I wait until the show starts purely out of
Pre-drinking.
respect. But I was like, no, this week's gonna be good. Dave's, gonna hit us with some great info, so I'm pre-drinking this bad boy, and you caught me at the right time. But just to get back about, you're talking about the 4XE, which I suspected would be probably the only Jeep I would buy, and I
Mhm.
mentioned that in one of my videos. I was like, hey, this thing is epic, and it's the one thing that I could say makes me think that a Jeep would make me buy it over a Bronco. It's like the hybrid.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I'd forget about the Bronco, but I'm happy you mentioned the whole regenerative braking and how it's annoying because the Mustang Mach E, I hate one pedal. Sorry, I strongly dislike one pedal. It's very aggressive
How Canadian
and
of you.
I kind of I feel like the car is my mom and I'm 14
Yeah.
years old and I'm being yelled at to clean my room. It's like it's just too much. It wants to recapture that energy far too aggressively.
Hmm.
And you're just like, hey Mustang Mach-E, get out of my room. I've had enough. And however, and I have to say that in when you're not in one pedal mode, it's incredible. I absolutely love. You get to coast. It feels absolutely like a normal vehicle with
Right.
incredible handling, incredible acceleration. And of course, I've test driven the Maverick and the Maverick Hybrid. I expected to be crap. To put it bluntly, I walked into this thinking this is going to be like every other hybrid I've tested. If we're lucky, it'll be as the Fusion Hybrid was okay, but I
Hmm.
really like the plugin, and I was like, this isn't a plugin, so it's not going to be like the plugin Fusion. It's going to be kind of okay at best. And
So
when I test drove that Maverick Hybrid, you let go of the gas and you don't feel it. And actually, YouTubers mainly have been saying like one major comment I noticed across videos was, "Hey, you don't know when it's in electric mode. You do know. First of all, it's dead silent. You
right.
think you'd be driving a high-end luxury car because you hear absolutely nothing.
Hmm.
And secondly, there is a little. If you get the XL, there's like this little on the right." Gauge. And when it's in the green with the little battery logo, that means you're in electric mode. And when it
Right.
goes out of it, it means you're either in all gas or a mix of both. So it's a pretty easy to use system and it's very smooth.
Well, you definitely knew on the that was something on the Wrangler. And I guess part of my disappointment with that Wrangler was when I got in it, it just felt like I was in my, to Jeep's credit, they don't change anything. I mean, you get a little different colors for, 392 or whatever you're in, but it just felt like my Gladiator. But you hit the start button and you're just kind of like, is it going to do something? And my wife Kelly, I drove it for a little bit and then she hopped in it. She's like, "So I just put it in gear, right?" I was like, "Yeah, it's on, or it thinks it's on, and yeah, you just kind of push the thing." But with that Wrangler, you definitely knew when it kicked in from EV to the 4-cylinder, man. You didn't get a jolt, but you definitely heard that the engine start, and it was very noticeable in that. But
Yeah.
so you and my buddy over at Pickup Truck and SUV Talk, you guys have done some Maverick stuff, man, and you're doing quite well with that Maverick content. Was that a surprise to you? Because I know you've been heavy Bronco. You were coming on around the time I was pushing Bronco a lot, and so was that kind of like a oh damn, this is my audience. Like I want to be over here, they want me over here, which happens to me
Yeah.
a lot, and. And I know I did one I did one Maverick video where I just kind of was like, I don't get it, which I did get it, but I needed to do the video and need to be a little tongue in cheek. But I had people attacking me in the comments, just like, "Well, it's not to get. It's this and that." So I did a build and price run after that. I was like, "Look, okay, we're cool." But was it with your channel, like you've been tearing it. I'm looking at your channel now, and your videos for Maverick are crazy. The views you're getting.
Yeah, and hopefully I don't get in too much trouble because I actually brought out a video before the embargo.
You broke the
Um,
embargo. Watch out now.
I yeah, no, it's I I have never been punished so nicely and politely. I was Canadian punished, and so none of this bad stuff that you could imagine. But no, it was actually I was asked really nicely to take it off, and I was like, man, this is a company with some pretty nice class. And the person that called me I had met face to face, and I was
Hmm.
like, well, she's as nice as she is. Well, anyways,
Right. And the
um,
driving impressions was what yesterday, I think, when I know here in America when they were allowed to drop. So yeah, you were what, a week or so early?
2 weeks early. But all those wonderfully nice people over at Ford were like, I was like, okay, so you're telling me it's okay to put on to tell my to tell people about it, to talk
Hmm.
about this. And they're like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, so on Facebook, it's okay. They're like, yeah, and on YouTube, it's okay. And they're like, okay, I want to be specific. I have 3,000 subscribers. If I put it on YouTube, is this okay? They're like, oh no, it'd be great if you share your thoughts on it. I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay. And I asked every single person there And I got told it would definitely be okay. So when they called and they're like, hey, well, we were kind of wrong. We're really sorry about this. Could you please take it down? We don't want to upset you, but it'd be nice if you could take it down. We were wrong. I was like, wow, that is the nicest anyone has
Yeah.
ever asked me to do something. So they were really cool about that. But finally I do get to talk about it because at first, I'm like you, Dave. I didn't get the Maverick. I actually thought, I've been in sort of around the truck world since the early 2000s. I had a Ranger back in, I think it was like 2000 or 2001. I had a Ford Ranger, and that thing had an actual box, and I
Hmm.
actually did stuff with it. And I kind of got in this old mindset that you need, at least, 5.5 feet of box to
Yeah.
really do anything. So my first Maverick video, I'm like you, I went on and I was like, hey, what is up with this truck? Back in March, I was saying if it didn't have at least 5 feet of box, it'd be as unpopular and as upsetting as an Explorer Sport Track,
Right.
which my parents had, and we were always swearing at the thing. We're like, "Hey, we'd love to go pick this up." Oh no, wait, it doesn't fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that the Explorer Sport Track, not only did it not fit, but they had a bed extender, and it was like it kind of felt like a rusty old boat.
Yeah.
Like this thing, like you had trouble opening it, you had trouble removing it. So basically, it was frozen in the middle position. So basically, you had actually half of a 4 foot box or 4.5 foot box. It was just crap. And I kind of thought the Maverick would be like that if it came out with a 4.5 foot box. So the second video I made, I talked about the Maverick, and I was like, "Hey, I'm really disappointed. This thing won't be popular because the box is 4.5 feet." And I also got a bit of like slack from people, I guess city dwellers, because I don't really quite live in a city.
Hmm.
And they're like, no, this is like the bee's knees. This is going to be great. It's perfect for in town. So I did more research and I looked into it. And hey, I looked into it and I was like, you know what, Marie-Pierre, you need to cancel your plug-in escape order. And this is what you need. This is
Right.
perfect for us.
Well, I will say this. So having trucks every so often, we'll go into something and not have a truck, and you quickly forget how useful an open bed is, whether you need to go somewhere or grab something at a hardware store or whatever. And no, they've done a great job with that. And I'm just Ford boggles me with how many trucks they need now. But when you quit selling cars, you need a car truck, and that's honestly what I call that thing. It's a car truck. It's for young adults who want to sit in something nice. It sits fairly low, drives like a car, but yeah, you can act like you're camping out of the back of it or wherever a hipster needs to do, and you're good to go. But this is not Maverick Wednesdays. I mean, I think Johnny, I think we need to do a Maverick Wednesdays or something, man. Just me and you, just chatting it up on our channels, but. This is Bronco time. And so I have to ask the most important question. You're in Canada. It's chilly out. Have you taken the doors off this thing just yet?
No, because Ford isn't providing me with the darn sacks. I
Oh,
ordered
that's
them, I think
right.
it was, yeah, 2 weeks before getting my Bronco. I ordered up those sacks and they're unavailable. So I'm just, I'm that worried guy who does not want to take his doors off and just, leave them in the
Yeah.
garage because I actually have two dogs,
Hmm.
and the bigger dog will definitely knock him over. He
Yeah.
generally does that kind of thing. So we don't want to take the doors off, and it's actually gotten too cold, but at least the top keeps us warm. So
Yeah.
you know, everyone thought the soft top would be crap, but it's not that noisy at all. And
Does the wavy rear glass bother you? Because I see more people fussing about that, and I think it's a little to do about nothing. It's like people that's never had Jeeps never realize you get a soft top Jeep and they're crinkly, and I think you've seen in the digital pictures Ford shows them and they're just crystal clear and tight. But does that bother you at all? And I know they flop just slightly in the wind, but nothing crazy, right?
and it's crazy how I actually spend more time driving my Bronco than sitting in my yard in a lawn chair looking at my Bronco. So call me an adult, but
It's crazy, man.
I don't sit in my yard looking at my darn Bronco. I actually drive the thing. It's incredible to drive. The wrinkly windows, yeah, they don't look like they did in the Ford.com build and price
Yeah.
image. but it's not a big deal. I occasionally, when I'm going really quite fast, and I won't say how fast because, I don't need the cops knocking on my doors,
Right.
but they generally, if I drive a reasonable speed, they won't make noise. If I drive an unreasonable speed, they will have the occasional noise. Noise from the top isn't really an issue. It's not as good as a Mustang GT top,
Mm-hmm.
but heck, this is an off-roader.
Right. Right.
And actually, the huge surprise out of this, I was like four door. I was really hesitant on the four door. I was originally a two-door antimatter blue, and I switched to the four-door soft top to get it. Thought I'd be disappointed. This thing turns on a dime. I thought, the four-door would not be off-roadable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's odd, but actually driving in the city, trying to get through traffic, trying to do U-turns at lights. This thing has a better turning radius than my Mustang, and it has a very sharp turning radius. I thought the Bilstein suspension would actually be kind of bad in, semi for us. City roads are actually pretty horrible. We'll often face, 2 to 4 inch holes.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it actually wouldn't be that great at highway speeds and it would only be good on rocks and whatnot. But the Bilstein suspension is absolutely fantastic. I don't think and obviously I'm going to have to do another Bronco because I am going F-150 Lightning.
Right.
And I am going to finally go back to, my dream color. I always wanted a green AC Cobra, but it's going to be a green Bronco. And
Nice.
I'm definitely going to go Badlands so that I can get the Bilstein. Maybe Sasquatch, but if I probably would either be Badlands or Wild Track because I don't see the point, like we've talked about
Yeah.
earlier. I don't see the point of getting a Big Ben Sasquatch. It's silly. You don't have as nice of a grill. You don't have the signature LED lights.
Well, but
You're still
you
stuck
can
on
get them on
cloth.
that, which is goofy. You can get the front lights, but not the LED rear lights in it for like $700. But no,
You can. We can't in
oh
Canada.
oh, you
They don't
cannot get
offer us.
those.
No. No, no, no. They in Canada they love it. They like to keep us poor. So, if we want LED signature lights, that we get taxed pretty hard for it. We have to go minimum Outer Banks, but then Outer Banks isn't quite the off-roader that the Sasquatch would be. But anyways, no, minimum condition Outer Banks to get those LED signature
Wow.
lights.
I wonder
Yeah.
what I guess it's just your regulations versus ours of brightness of lights or something, or huh?
I think Ford knows that Canadians will just kindly be like, "Oh, that's okay, guy. No worries. I'll buy that rate up. An extra 10, no worries."
Right, right, guys. Load your comments up. I've been not ignoring you on purpose, but I'm just having fun catching up with Johnny here. Load your comments up, but whatever you guys want to talk about. I'm sure I'm keeping Johnny past his adult bedtime anyways, so I don't want to keep him out too long. His mom will call me, and then I'll get in trouble, and I'll have to say sorry and stuff if I keep him up too long. But let's go through some of so. Where was it? Flo Juarez, if I say that correctly, saying wait till it snows and then we'll see if you're happy with that top. I can see that. But we get ice here in Tennessee, so I would rather deal with snow. It comes off, it's gonna flake off. We get ice and you got to beat it off, and then you crack the plastic, and for me it's a nightmare. Honest,
Yeah.
once again, yes, you're. Thank you for the beverage. I do greatly appreciate that, and it is a good sipping whiskey. Steven, Santa Cruz is in the same market. I actually got to play with the Santa Cruz a little bit, and I was kind of bummed that I didn't have a Maverick this past week to kind of A and B him there. But Santa Cruz is so Johnny. You've messed with the Maverick now, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming you've seen the Santa Cruz
Oh, I
Hyundai's,
didn't just see. I actually, out of respect for getting something wrong on the Santa Cruz, I took my Santa Cruz video off,
right?
which there's one major YouTuber that I would have liked to have seen them remove their video for getting several things wrong, but I
Right.
won't name any names. But anyways, the Santa Cruz, I didn't. I did review it. I drove it and I
Mm-hmm.
drove it hard. I got those tires to squeal like little piggies. It
Mm-hmm.
was actually pretty fun. But no, I've driven both, and
How,
there's nothing wrong with.
what's your A and B between the two? What do you think one's got better and the other one's gotten worse?
I really like the Santa Cruz's interior.
Mm-hmm.
Someone could have told me, close my eyes, throw me inside the Santa Cruz, and then take the blindfold off and say, "What is this?" I would have said I don't know, and if someone would have told me it's a Mercedes, I'd have been like, I'd have touched the seats. I'm like, yeah, the leather seats are really nice. Everything's soft touch everywhere.
Hmm.
I could have issues and want to bang my head everywhere, and I wouldn't hurt myself. So soft touch everything. Great vehicle on the inside. It had great acceleration. It had really good exhaust and engine noise. It was very decent. It was actually very good in the corners. The bumps, you could hear the suspension, like you could hear on the Maverick. Were there really things that bothered me about it? Some people love that tonneau cover, and I
Hmm.
think the tonneau cover was pretty cool, but you lose box. And when you're buying a reasonably sized truck, well, you hope it's reasonably priced and it's more expensive than Maverick, and you lose some box space. So those are really the two things that bothered me. And the only other thing, and it's a pro and a con, the back seats. If you're an adult sitting in the back, the window really cuts up, and it almost cuts up at like head height. So you look out and you're like, oh, well, I don't see anything. So if you're the type of person that gets car sick, or you have kids that get car sick, yeah, it's perfect for you. But I just find on the outside it's a nice design element, but then on the inside, the back window is really small, and then you in the back seat you've got
Yeah.
this little wing thing covering your eyesight. Those were the minor things, but generally it's a good vehicle.
Well, I did a few videos on third row seating this past week and getting in and out of third row seating, and there's a few brands out there that even third row you just feel like your neck's like this. It's as an
Yeah.
adult, yeah, you don't want to be back there. I think it's going to be a battle for the not ages, but for a couple of years anyways, because I think Hyundai there's an audience that they have. Obviously, they don't have the truck background like Ford does, but there are people that are just brand loyal, and I think it's a great time for that little market. The old El Caminos, it's kind of those days of where Ford had their version, and I don't think either of them stick around long. I think when I say that, let me start over. I think Ford will stick around longer than the Hyundai will, but I don't know that for me that I think it's a vehicle, that style of vehicle, a unibody truck that is it's a 1 or 2 year ownership for somebody, and then they want to move into something either more capable or more car like. It's that tweener, it's that weird spot in the market that I know Ford was really pushing the youth market with the launch of the Maverick. Like, oh, look at all the ads was just 20 somethings. Like 20
Yeah.
somethings even anymore have $20,000 to spend really in the world we live in right now. So I'm excited, I guess, for Maverick and the little unibody trucks. But Honda has to be over there going, hey man, we've been doing this for well over 10 years and nobody loves us with this. What's going on? Well, and part of that is that first generation they did was just ugly. I
Yeah,
actually like
Barbie.
the newer version, but that first one is ugly.
Yeah, no, the newer version does look good. The earlier version, I think, was most commonly called the Barbie truck.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that probably bothers me the most about the Santa Cruz is, in my opinion, the whole idea of having a smaller truck is hopefully you save on money and you save on gas. And it does save on gas compared to a full size truck, but not. I think it would be great if the Santa Cruz comes out with a hybrid. So I have a feeling Dave has actually gone off to possibly get a drink.
Sorry about that. The cat was like, "Hey, I went out of your studio. I went out of here, man." And he's gonna either claw me or the door. So,
Well, that's okay. I told your audience you're probably gone off to get a drink.
no, no, I am well stocked here. Um, so what about the lightning? Let's jump into that just for a minute. Do you think in cold weather that you're going to get the miles out of it that you need to? Eh, or you think it's one of those you got to charge it every night and just hope and pray that you don't have a long trip you need to go far in?
Personally, I think I will get the miles out of it that I need because I rarely drive more than basically my biggest trip is about 120 kilometers. So that's about 85 miles, let's
Mm-hmm.
say. And so I'll have absolutely no issue with it. If I'm going to another major city center for, let's say, a car review, whether it's Quebec, New York, on the main highways, there are fast chargers everywhere. That's been resolved. It's not what it was 8 years ago. The fast chargers are everywhere. I'm not worried about that at all. But in the winter, from what I've experienced with the Fusion plugin and the Focus Electric, I do expect. I don't think it'll be as bad as it was back in 2013, where in the winter you could almost cut the autonomy in half.
Yeah.
But, what are the numbers? I think they're talking on the small battery on the Lightning, 230 miles. Could that be?
Okay. Yeah. Some
About
it's
380 kilometers.
yeah. I think 250 is kind of the for miles is where they're hoping for.
Well, they did do their test, if I'm not mistaken, with 1,000 pounds in the bed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to keep in mind. So that'll, if you're running with nothing in the bed in the winter, some of that will balance out. But I can tell you with the Mustang Mach E, whereas let's say the big battery, the 88 kilowatt, they're talking about, Ford was saying 450 kilometers of autonomy, which I think is 350-ish miles. But anyways, in the summer, you can definitely do more.
Mm-hmm.
And in the winter, in regards to kilometers, instead of 450, I think a lot of people were getting about 380, 390.
Yeah.
So definitely less, but not a huge difference. So I'm not that worried with the Lightning. I think the main worry people are having is what they'll get when they tow. And I find the equation on that is pretty simple. If the truck was going to weigh 7,000 pounds, which I think it's going to weigh, a regular F-150 weighs about 4,800 to 5,200 pounds. I'd expect with, a 1,800 max 2,000 pound battery, we're going to be somewhere around, 68 to 7,000 pounds. If you tow 7,000 pounds and there's no wind resistance on your trailer, which obviously is not the case in real life, you'd cut your autonomy in half. So I think the real issues are going to be with towing, where, whatever, I don't have the stats in front of me, wasn't quite expecting questions on the Lightning, but let's say they're coming in at 380 miles for the small battery. You're probably going to cut that by more than half when towing the weight of the truck, so 7,000 pounds, because obviously there's wind resistance to
Yeah.
take into account.
Yeah, Cigar Texan, thank you for that super chat, man. And you are in Bronco jail. So Johnny, before
Oh,
we
man.
got into this, it had popped up, and let me see if I've got all my stuff. Oh, I don't have it all correct. I got to get Johnny in the video here. So give me just a second, guys. You'll see Johnny in just a second there. Let's see. Where you at? Where you at? Well, I want to talk about it if I can ever get Johnny up on the screen here. Now I've ruined me. Now I'm disappearing. What is going on here, Dave? Let's do this. All right, there's Johnny. Let me edit while we're talking. But so you did not hear anything about this recall, and I know Cigar Texan there was just about to get his, and I guess they've stopped shipping Broncos again due to this airbag issue. Any insight at all about this, or is it you don't know either?
No, no, on this one, I know nothing about it. It's the type of bad news they probably don't want to. They probably hope to just fix real quick without upsetting all the dealers. Probably, I'm assuming it probably passed on Ford Authority.
Right. Let's see there. All right, there we are. All right,
And
so I've got an email up. I don't know if you can see it or not, Johnny, but this is on Bronco 6G, and here I'll post the link real quick, or else Bronco 6G gets upset, and then they, try to kill my children or whatever they want to do. I don't know. It's a different group over there, so I don't like to piss them off too bad. But there's the link if you want to play along at home. There we go. There it is. So effective build date, July 18, 2021 through August 17th, 2021. So some of the Dirt Mountain Broncos are going to get put on hold again the way it looks. And the reason for this is they're having some airbag issues. And the airbag issue, the way it looks is the way they were folded up and encased before they would ever explode. They're not unfolding properly. And it's causing an issue where, they might not be as effective as possible. So Let's see. It says some of the affected vehicles may not conform to requirements specifically or specified by the Federal Motor Safety Standard, which is occupant protection. The front airbags may not have been or may have been incorrectly folded during the manufacturing. Incorrectly folding may cause improper deployment of the airbag and increased risk during a crash. Now, I know once again, everybody wants to fuss at Ford about these things and go, "Oh, way to go, Ford!" But Ford does not build; they're assemblers. They do not build everything here, man. Now they have to be ultimately responsible, but these are, you know, some of these airbags and stuff. Airbags always trip me out because the one company that seems to make them is always in trouble, always in
Yeah.
trouble. Whether it's some particle in the bag that could cut your face when it explodes, or they just don't work properly, and it seems like for the past 10 years, they cannot make an airbag that's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. So I don't, this to me is a little about nothing. I'm sure here on Bronco 6G, everybody's raising a fuss and being upset and throwing their drinks across the room. And, you know, but this is a quick fix for me, or the way I see it anyways.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on that one. I actually remember, and I don't know what the legalities are of what I can say, but in regards to history, I do remember when Honda was heavily affected by airbags, because of the main producer of airbags. This was back in, I think, 2013,
Is it
2014. Ford was only,
Takata or something like that?
yeah, I'd rather not say the name because,
Yeah.
Marie works in insurances, and she's like, "Hey, we don't want to get sued, let's not lose the house because of your channel. The channel does not has not cleared the house in any way.
Right.
But possible said previously said company. I know someone locally actually who had, you're talking about, whether they unfold and they're less safe and less effective. I'd say that's a huge improvement from 2013, where they not only could explode in your face and cause face injury. I know someone who actually has less use of their arm because it would
Oh,
shoot
wow.
metal from the
Mm-hmm.
inside of the airbag. It just explodes so hard and so quickly that you could really be damaged in your nerve endings. So yeah, you're right. There have been airbag issues for years, for easily 10 years, and they just can't seem to get it right. And everyone's affected by this. There's only, what is it, two or three airbag companies worldwide?
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, that's most business. I know there's like one manufacturer of mirrors for the side mirrors. They do it for everybody. They have a thing in Michigan and I think in Europe, and they supply everybody. But yeah, it's pretty common. There's one manufacturer, two manufacturers that do everything, and yeah, like you said, I do remember like the metal shrouds and all that were hurting people, and it'd be a shame you get in a light fender bender and suddenly you're like you've been shot with a shotgun or something because of your car. But to me though, this really it's little to do about nothing. I know once again, if you have one of the dirt mountain builds, it's a bummer. It's a setback. And I'm sure at some point Ford's going to make sure that that extra 1,000 that your dealer's able to spend on you, I'm sure they'll take care of a few people with this, but hold tight, guys. It's probably a week or two. They solve this issue real quick, and it's an easy thing to exchange. Let's
I know
see.
for our first dirt mountain showed up, and it was actually from the month. I think it was a June build, so it's our first dirt mountain, and it did show up today, and looked good. I inspected it underneath, and it was clean. Some people have been worried about rust and it sitting back out at dirt mountain for 2 3 months. Well, this is one of the very first dirt mountain lots, and the underneath of the vehicle was clearly inspected because it was as clean as my Badlands,
Hmm.
which was a fast build because of all the sacrifices I made.
Well, yeah, I feel for the dirt mountain guys though. Sorry, I'm looking at something real quick while we're talking. I feel sorry for those guys because it does. Like, it's just like constantly you see all these people getting their Broncos, and then you're stuck over here
Yeah.
like, wow, I had a June build date and then nothing. And they're just starting to roll out and then this. But once again, it's a bulletin. It's not a complete recall or anything yet. And so I don't know why they would hold them up, but they'll get them fixed. I mean, hell, my Jeep was in the shop while I was gone traveling, and I had to have uppers ball joints put in it. with 7,000 miles. So these things happen, man. And in some of this, remember, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I don't know what end of it we're on, if it's still strong, not strong, whatever your opinions on it, but it has affected labor. And these guys are under, our supply for everything seems to be under strain. So imagine working for these companies and they're asking more and more from you, and you have no help. So I could see things happening. Let's see what else, anything on your end, Johnny? I know, like I said, once again, I kind of hit you out of the blue about this, but was there anything that you don't want to say on your channel that I don't care about?
Um, Heck, I guess if we want to focus in on the Bronco, one thing that I thought was going to be a major issue was actually the hood. And I was working on a story on this because I had a lot of hood vibration. And I actually thought usually the hood of a vehicle is made sort of like a cross. You've got like a T, so you got a sort of like a subframe to your hood going down and wide. And
Mm-hmm.
it's made to really support your hood so that the wind doesn't cause your hood to vibrate. And I thought this was actually probably a major error in Bronco construction. And before, I'm not one of those guys that needs to get 100,000 views to feel good about themselves. So I didn't go on and say worst vehicle ever made, or I should say a million views, worst vehicle ever made since whatever model. I actually looked into it. I went to the dealer, and 90% of the problem was fixed by with just the adjusters. And had I
Mm.
not been so obsessed about my Bronco,
Yeah.
it's the type of thing that I figured out on previous vehicles. I've had Mustangs where the hood wasn't quite, left, right, or up, down,
Yeah.
the angle. And I've played with the adjusters. You can even get a little bit of flex out of the hood. Don't try this at home. Johnny did not tell you to bend the hood on your Mustang, but anyways, they fixed up my hood and 90% of it was fixed. But the window issue, it is all the way up or all the way down. But beyond that, it's all worth it. It was worth the wait. The 2.7, I absolutely love. I probably wouldn't mention it on my channel, but the 2.3 liter with manual, which was a two-door 2.3 liter manual, was originally the build I put in
Mm-hmm.
because I thought, the manual would just be, absolute
Fun.
incredible. And I was wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't want to disappoint too many people who are waiting for a 2.3 because I think a lot of 2.3 liter guys are going to be really happy. But I like a lot of power
Yeah.
and I like to accelerate. And it's not that I drive impolitely, it's just I like to take off.
Yeah.
And I like the feeling of power to the point where I almost on a street city road, I almost prefer the drive of a Mustang Mach-E because that electric power, it's instant torque, it's a whole lot of fun. But the 2.3 liter, I jumped in it and I was a little disappointed. I bet it's probably great for off-road. It has torque once the turbo kicks in, but until the turbo kicks in, eh,
Yeah.
I don't want to say more, but it's not for me, and I think it'll be great for some people.
Well, I think the 2.3 is if you're used to kind of an older school V6, a normally aspirated V6, I think you're probably like, oh, this feels about the same.
Yeah,
But we don't live in that world now. I've got options for twin turbos. I'm a power guy like you, man. I do I need it? No, I would probably be perfectly happy with that 2.3 in a Bronco. But I want power. I used
we're
to rebuild
spoiled.
Chevy big block engines in 350s, and I that was the idea for me. V8, and well, this is as close as a V8 we're going to get in that thing. So Bronco Nation, there looks like Bronco Girl over there has posted up that she's seeing, kind of here's what Ford's been basically revealing with the order banks. Have you heard anything of officially when the order banks are going to open up? Because I can't seem to get anything out of Ford about it, and I keep seeing all these. You never know anymore with screenshots of this and that, of just somebody lying and trying to get their 10 minutes of fame. But have you heard anything on your end?
It can change, right?
Yeah.
So I expected F-150s 2022s to be October 15th. So by the 16th, things would be going down. I suspect that to be delayed. So basically anything I can say can absolutely change.
Yeah.
but I'm thinking Bronco 2022s. I've got a buddy who's waiting to put his in. I'm debating whether I put mine in on day one or later for my green Bronco to arrive after my Lightning.
Hmm.
But thus far, if things go forward as planned, I think it's going to be, the 26th, 27th, you're going to be A-OK and you'll be able to move forward on a 2022 Bronco. And I don't want to misrepresent the 2.3 liter because I feel, Dave, you actually said probably the best line. The 2.3 liter in a Bronco, which, my Badlands, and I actually tried a Big Bend 2.3 liter. So this thing weighed a good 5,100 pounds. It's going to be good for most people because it is a lot like a naturally aspirated V6. And actually, if I compare it to the Jeep V6 I drove just recently, it is a lot like,
Right.
acceleration wise, it feels a lot like that. It feels like less until the turbo kicks in. And then when the turbo does kick in, it feels like more. Whereas the 2.7 liter, I have to say, that's the perfect recipe because it instantly feels like a whole lot more than a 5 liter V8, and it feels like a whole lot more than a 5 liter V8 until you're in the high RPM where that's where the 5 liter V8, being that it's not a push rod engine, is actually incredible at high RPM. So that's that. The 2.7 liter, I think I can't imagine I like it more than a V8, and I thought I'd never say that. I've been a
Yeah.
V8 guy since the beginning of time.
Right. So I know, like I was saying, around October 13th is when they're saying, oh, the order banks will open up. But does that mean that I would assume Ford gives us a few days of a build and price on their website before they just open those order banks up, or what is your opinion on how they'll handle that?
And yeah, sorry, I said the 26th. Maybe it's the 13th. I'm looking at various models, so I can
Right.
tend to get my dates. When I don't have the info right to my left here, I can get that confused.
Well, I caught you mid
But
drink, so I can't expect you to have it all ready and prepared.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I wasn't the drink tonight. Um, so in regards to build and price on the internet, unfortunately, and this is the confusing part, and sometimes people will like hit up their dealership like the morning of and be like, hey, why was the sales guy clueless? And sometimes the sales guy is clueless 6 months down the road just because he's useless.
Yeah.
But even the best sales guy can be clueless when you hit him up at 9 a.m. because he didn't have access to it earlier. So his system um, is going to be put online at the same time, and sometimes actually a couple hours after the Ford .com or .ca system. So
Yeah.
I'd say if you want to really get things done right, once you can build it online, give your dealership an hour or two, then go in, and their computing system should be up to date once it's on. But basically, they're at the same time.
Yeah. So some of the things that they're pointing out in this little article on Bronco Nation is there's going to be, obviously, we know, a Raptor Special Edition, but guys, that's not a 22. The Raptor's a 23. So don't act like you can, when this build and price opens up, like you can order your Raptor, because I don't see it that way. And once again, remember, your reservation is only for the current Bronco. It has nothing to do with that Raptor when they do open that up. But we're getting the an Everglades Special Edition. This is what they're saying has been leaked out. The deleted colors are antimatter blue, rapid red, metallic. Lightning blue metallic color is also gone, which was exclusive. We're getting the Eruption Green, which once again I swear is the worst name for that color. Like, I have no idea what eruption. I think of a volcano. I think of red or yellow. I do not think of green, but what it is, what it is. One of the worst names ever for a color is hot pepper red metallic tinted clear coat, which is just like ridiculously long. Supposedly they're going to add a desert sand color for an Everglades Special Edition only. Code Orange, which is Raptor, but that's like a no-brainer because they showed us a teaser of that color, which I actually like that color. I think it might be fun. What else we got? A manual transmission with Sasquatch package, which I still don't think that's going to be when people think. I think that's a late summer deal. I don't think that they're just completely ready for that one just yet. Let's see. The Black Diamond and Badlands. This is a question I have for you, Johnny. So the Black Diamond and Badlands, they're suddenly taking away the metal bumper. Oh, that's not
Yeah.
gonna. That's an option now.
Oh,
What in the hell is Ford doing here, man? I mean, because
yeah.
I understand it's probably somewhat of a commodity issue. Hey, we're going through. We can't get this stuff fast enough. But you can't in 2020 go. Here's what you're getting, and then 6 months later be like, oh, sorry, you can't do that anymore. You got to get a plastic bumper. Where do you stand with that?
Yeah, you know what, Dave? I think both of us are, guys, and I think you more so than me because me, it's just, go into the woods, get some actual wood. It's not like these great events that you've taken us on, which was really appreciated. That was very cool. But, for anywhere from semi off-road guy to hardcore off-road guy, we love the heavy duty modular bumper. That is our thing. We're used to paying extra money for that,
Right.
or on the tree domain farm, whatever. My parents have 200 acres. They'd buy these vehicles like old Rangers, and the thing would just get destroyed on its back in the 80s and 90s vehicles. They actually had these steel bumpers, but still they would get destroyed because they're covered in chrome and whatnot. So we love the heavy duty modular. But what I'm actually getting from a lot of people is they don't like that they can see the screws.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like the fact that it looks, there's gaps in it. And oddly, and I don't understand this, but oddly, they prefer what I would consider a much cheaper, worthless bumper. They like that. So if I'm not mistaken, the Black Diamond and the Badlands are going to get kind of this mixed bumper where it's not quite as off-road and heavy duty as this year's heavy duty modular, which makes you and I and a lot of guys upset.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going to the composite bumper the way the Wild Track has. My good friend and he's a good friend and he's a general manager. He ordered his Wild Track. He was a dirt mountain and it showed up. And of course, I'm that uncool, thoughtless guy who didn't think in advance to not say like, "Hey, where are your rock protections on the side? I got those on my Badland." He's like,
Yeah.
"Shut up and get out of my office." And I also couldn't understand. I was like looking at his bumper and I was like, "Hey, nice off-road bumper." And he's like, "Yeah, it looks good, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So, and he'll never go off-roading. So that's
Yeah.
fine. That
Yeah.
he's hunky-dory and I'd say he's 80% of Bronco buyers. So I'm not sure if it's a commodity issue or if it's Ford just really doing what they think the majority of their buyers want.
Well, and
I
and
don't think we're
Jeep
in the
does this.
majority.
Jeep does do this with Rubicon. Like you can get the big heavy duty metal bumpers from the factory, but it's not standard. And I
Yeah.
think some of that might have been Ford's way of trying to kind of poke at the Wrangler guy of like, hey, you're getting this, instantly. You don't have to
Oh yeah.
option it up. But let's see, where's somebody?
That's a great point. They probably did draw in some Jeep people being like, "Hey," or at least poke at them, be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, Badlands, Black Diamond, look at this sick bumper that you get,"
yeah,
because those were marketed as very off-road. But what I do like for 2022, I'm very sad that when I order up my green Badlands, I'm gonna have to pay extra for that bumper. But I am very happy that now everyone else has access to it because honestly, the three reasons I bought Badlands is heavy duty modular bumper, of course the steel plates.
hmm
Let's count those two together. Um, Stabilizer bar disconnect because my Wild Track buddy does not have it, and he doesn't care. He's carrying the babies in the back, not what I'm doing. And so yeah, and the BF Goodrich KO2s, which are in my opinion from factory, pretty sick to get those.
right. Well, if you're I can't comment. I was gonna say something funny, but Bronco Wild Outdoors, welcome to the show, guys. Hopefully you're having a lot of adventures. They say the 2.7 has better torque range for typical off-roading RPM range, and I totally agree with that. Taking the Black Diamond out that we did a few weeks ago, I was really impressed with that vehicle, man. Of course, talking about that front bumper and how you wanted that, I literally watched them pull the factory bumper off, and they were putting their branded bumper on it, and then they just basically threw it away. Like I was like, wow, man, that kind of sucks. I mean, it was part of their Sasquatch package, but I was like, it's kind of I'm sure they can sell it for some guy wanting one of those bumpers, but it it was kind of funny to just be like, what am I going to do with this? But I will say the bumper that Lifestyle Off Road came up with was so much smaller and lighter. That Ford factory metal bumper is heavy, and
Yeah.
I mean I'm impressed with the gauge metal they do use with that thing. But I was very surprised that they put a winch bumper on the front of this thing that was much lighter than the winch available ready bumper that Ford had came up with, and I'm sure some of that has to do with crash testing and standards. But let's see. Black Diamond should be able to get the high package. Ford is weird with their packages, and they've always been weird with their packages. Go to a F-150, and it's super confusing on how to get anything. I do agree, though. I think maybe by 23, Ford needs to look at everything they're offering, and let's tone it down a little bit as far as not making it so difficult to understand. And while I say this, go price up Jeep, and it's even a bigger nightmare. But I think for a lot of Ford brought in a lot of new customers that maybe do not know off road, and they want a nice radio, but they'll pay for the radio. They're willing to do that, but they don't want to have to pay for the highest trim levels you have just to get a nice, decent sounding radio. Oh, Johnny's in midst of he's reading over there.
Yeah, I know. I'm reading the comments, but yeah, the radio was a big deal for journalists, and I don't know what your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, Dave. But I've got the base radio because I'm a cheap guy,
Yeah.
and I didn't say Jeep. That's you. You're a Jeep guy. I'm a cheap guy.
I'm not a
And
Jeep guy. Let's be honest. I have a Jeep, but that doesn't mean I'm a Jeep guy.
okay, but I am a cheap guy. That's with a C, not a J. I'm super cheap. The wife knows it. And what can you do? It's in my nature. But I took the small screen. I don't have heated seats. That's a her problem. It's not a me problem.
Yeah.
So no heated seats. And I like the
So you
basic
don't have
sound
the dual
system.
climate? You have
No,
okay. I remember
no.
seeing one of your videos you didn't have it. I didn't know
Yeah.
that was an option in Badlands that you didn't have to get the.
Surprisingly, no, a Badlands, even though it has a considerable price,
Mm-hmm.
does not have heated seats. It doesn't have dual climate, but that's just a relationship test. You
Right.
know, if Marie says you're so cheap, you didn't buy me my own temperature, she can go her direction and figure, he wasn't the right guy for me. He's too cheap.
He wouldn't
And
buy me
I
the
can,
heated seats.
I'll be like, hey, at least she figured out I'm cheap in advance because I'm not going to change. I am who I am. And I'm not going to pay for heated seats. But yeah, I would have loved those free heated seats to keep the wife happy, but no heated seats and no dual climate. And I
Oh,
do regret not having the big screen though.
yeah. I mean, I think the what is it, 8-inch screen that's in the mid package or whatever it is. I think it's perfectly fine. I need a radio to just plug my phone in and run because I don't listen to the modern radio anymore. I listen to podcasts or whatever I want to listen to, and I go about my business. Now, I will say when you see that 12-inch screen, it is impressive and it does make you jealous, but ultimately I don't think it gets me down the road any better than that the other one does. And then I think the Bang Olufsen, whatever they call the high end radio.
Yeah, Bang& Olufsen.
I think it's way overrated. I don't think it sounds any better than the other package. Ford gets hit with this a lot with that package. That it's not just me that says it. It's other journalists that will say, "Hey, it's not worth the money that they want for it." And I am amazed too to see how many people instantly went and bought their Broncos and ripped all the speakers out of it and had new speakers put in it. And I will say my Jeep does sound a lot better. My cheap radio in it sounds a lot better than the high end radio they're putting in the Broncos.
Yeah, but the base radio does do the job, which I was disappointed journalists. I feel some of them were trying to say like you won't survive with the base radio. You
Right.
open your roof and you won't hear anything. That was the first thing I tested it. Marie-Pierre and I went down, we went on the highway. We weren't on full radio, and we're like, okay, no, the radio any higher will hurt our ears. It has completely blocked out the wind. So it does the job. I like the Bang& Olufsen.
Mhm.
I have heard better sound systems in a whole lot of luxury vehicles, but and part of the Bang& Olufsen sounding different than it does in the luxury vehicles. Actually, the luxury vehicles sound deadening material. We have to realize if you're not top down on your Bronco, why did you get a Bronco? So of
Right.
course the top's
Right.
down, right? And then, but I have tested it with everything closed, not moving. I turned on the Bang& Olufsen, and my general reaction was like, "Hey, wow, this is really good. I really like it." If I was as crazy about music as I was when I was, in my 20s, yeah, I would have ripped out speakers and thrown a huge subwoofer and ruined my trunk, have no trunk space for a subwoofer. But I'm not there anymore. So the bass sound system does the job. The Bang& Olufsen sounds
Yeah.
plenty good. I'm not disappointed.
I think Ford could do better if I know the big thing is they, the open feel for the roof, and I think it's where Jeep has not an advantage, but they have the crossbar that goes across where they can put speakers, and so maybe it just is giving a false sense of it. You got a speaker right above your head where you don't have it in
Yeah.
the Ford. But I also think that Ford could do bubbles on the side of the cage and put a speaker there. It doesn't have to go across. They don't need a sport bar to go across it, and kind of improve that slightly. Give because if you're buying a Wild Track or whatever top end edition they come out with next year, those people don't. They're not buying these first editions to go beat the crap out of them. They're buying them because they want to ride around town, kind of mall crawl. It's their fun third vehicle or whatever, and they're gonna park it in the garage during the winter, and they don't care, but they want a good sound system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair assessment. Fair.
Cigar Texan, thank you for reminding people to smash the like button. I would greatly appreciate that. And let's see, 114 right now watching. So everybody, thank you so much. If you like this kind of content, now I'm just not strictly Broncos, but I do talk a lot of Bronco, and it pays the bills at the moment. So I greatly appreciate all y'all, and smash the subscribe button because I did about 8 reviews this past yesterday. I was killing. Me and Kelly went out, and it's the first time Kelly got to do a press tour with me, and it was nice to have help. Doing videos, having somebody to hold a camera is like a godsend. Like, because especially flying, I can't take my big tripod, or I don't want to. I'm trying to go as light as possible. So having Kelly there, but I found myself recording her more driving than me actually getting to do much reviewing. So there's going to be a lot of voiceover, so I'm going to say that on some of the videos coming up. But I was having a blast out there. But let me tell you, doing one review, maybe in your driveway or something, is hard. Go do 8 in one day. That kicked my butt, man. I'm still beat. I flew back from Texas. I got in about 4:00, and I started prep on this show to get this ready, and I'm ready to not talk cars for a while, Johnny. I think that's my point.
Fair enough. Heck, I don't know. I can't say I know how you feel, but I went into the Santa Cruz when I did the review,
Mm-hmm.
and it was sort of, on Friday, someone suggested to me, "Hey, you should really review the Santa Cruz, and this is how you can make it happen." So I'm like, "Great, I'll go in." I maybe prepared 4 hours before, and that was one vehicle. 4 hours of prep beforehand, and I still got my daylight running, my DLRs, my daylight running
Mm-hmm.
lights mixed up. So I just assumed, because it's been this way since the beginning of time, since dinosaurs, since the Flintstones were driving around. Your main lights are at the front. That's just how you do it,
Right.
and your fog lights are at the bottom. And then
Right.
Hyundai, sorry, throws it upside down because they like to, for once they like to be different. I guess they got tired of being uh, sued or attempted lawsuits for copying other people's styles. So they switched it up, and they got me. So I put out this video. I must have spent 10, 12 hours working on it, 4 hours of prep. That's one vehicle. I still got it wrong. So I took the video offline.
Right.
Just the way if I would have said that, a Santa Cruz is a lot faster than a Maverick, which is incorrect, I would also take my video offline. But, I'm more about integrity than money. But what can you do? Some
Right.
people like the money more than the integrity. We all have our own thing. But, anyways, took that video offline. So I can't imagine you did 8 videos in one day. Your brain will
Oh,
probably still hurt for another week.
oh, there'll be some mistakes in those videos. Don't get me wrong, but luckily, let me see if I got it with me here. Oh my, I haven't even unpacked my go bag just yet. Let's see. Luckily, you go to some of these, and they give you a nice little cheat book. So it was nice to have. They give you a car, and then they give you a little bit of description and place you can write notes and stuff. So it does make it a little bit easier, but I must say, it was tough, and it's tough to, you know, you want to get 5 to 8 minutes easily, and sometimes you start editing, and you're like, well, I did that walk around of the Toyota Tacoma, and I've got just like 2 minutes 30 seconds on that. But that's all. Honestly, there's an embargo on that truck. I can't talk really about how great it drives because it does. I'm not supposed to talk about that stuff, but
Love
like
it.
just kind of stretch some of this stuff, and then you find out, you know, well, oh, this finish, oh, they go, oh, well, that trim's going to change. That's not, you know, this is still the kind of trial version of the build of the truck. We're not going to, you're like, come on, guys. I'm already beating myself up here, but I will say, guys, it's ugly in pictures, but in person, that grill is not as horrible. Like, sorry, Johnny, I know you're over here, or there, you're in one of these channels. I don't know what camera you're on,
Yeah, no, it's yeah, that was you had it. That was to your right.
but yeah, the Toyota's that's gonna be they're gonna the power boost Ford. They're gonna take that on, and they're gonna do a good job with that. But yes, beat up, guys, beat up. So and that I don't want to take all Johnny's day or night. You know, he's probably
No,
got
no, it's cool that
he's
you're
got
talking about if we talk about the Tundra, I don't have any I can say whatever I want about the Tundra, which is really cool because they didn't invite me to crap all. So the Tundra, I am definitely liking the new engine on the Tundra.
hmm
They've gone with a 6-cylinder, 3.5 liter EcoBoost, so straight out of the Ford
not
recipe book.
EcoBoost, not EcoBoost. Now, come
Yeah,
on,
sorry.
it's
Oh no, you mean it's not the
iForce.
same.
They
Oh,
call it
fair. Yeah.
iForce.
Okay. Yeah. So it's not the same. You got me. Or did you? But no, their hybrid is pretty awesome. 583 pound-feet of torque. So you know they're going after Ford when they add 13 pound-feet of torque because to some people that will make a difference.
Oh yeah, numbers,
Which is
sales. Yeah.
fair. But when it comes to numbers, everyone always forgets. And I had this on my Maverick channel. Someone threw it out at me, and it was really cool that they did because it gave me a great chance to explain. They're like, "Yeah, Toyota is building, with their van. Sorry, it's slipping my mind. The Sienna. They're
hmm
like the Sienna hybrid has, and they listed out the stats, the specs for the Sienna, and they're like Ford really needs to kick up their game because they are nowhere close. And then you actually do the weight difference between a Maverick hybrid and a Sienna hybrid, and the weight difference was actually greater than the power difference, and you actually had a 5% advantage towards the Maverick. But most people don't think that way.
Right.
So like I understand, we like to say 13 extra pound-feet of torque is oh so much better, but I wouldn't ever buy whether a vehicle is, zero point 0.2 to 0.5 seconds faster 0 to 60, or if it has 13 or 20 pound-feet of torque difference. I wouldn't buy a vehicle for that reason. I'd consider the Tundra. I wouldn't consider the Tundra because I'm not yet used to the style, and I'm thinking the style might grow on me with
The
time.
the inside of that
But
thing, dude, is one of the best in the business now. Like it's so. Hey, Tundra Dude's in here. What's up, Tundra Dude? Tundra Dude, I don't think you've got to drive this yet, man. Do I have one up on you right now? What's going on, man? But yeah, the inside. I had the 17. I did a nice video on the 17. What is it? 1794 edition, and it is pretty freaking nice. And that's one thing Ford needs to do. They need to slightly step up their lower trims just a little bit because I don't want to get into their platinums and King Ranches and all this stuff and to get
yeah,
some of the cool features. Like once again, Ford has made it difficult to understand how to get features, and I think that's where the import brands probably they keep it simple. And yes, this new Tundra is going to get a lot of different trims, but it's like with Ford or Chevy or any of it, like it's 60 different trims to get whatever you want. You're like, I can't make up my mind. But the 3.5 and the thing, very cool.
yeah. Yeah,
Um,
no, the hybrid 3.5, incredible. I really look forward to test driving it, and I highly suspect it's going to be unbelievably reliable. I know TFL was looking at the transfer case, belt,
Hmm.
and like the thing is super thick. So I suspect that thing is going to be unbelievably reliable. The interior does look really great. And yeah, with Ford, you hit on a very good point. Toyota will give something a name, and that's what you get with that name.
Hmm.
And their suspensions are really cool. The new Tundra suspensions, I am looking forward to it. Like, you can go all the way off road, you can go all the way comfort. It's really cool how you pick a name, and the name lets you know what you're going to get out of the truck in
Yeah.
regards to suspension and interior and whatnot. And I think that's straightforward. It's fun. You don't need 3 years of university to figure out what you're getting with your truck. Whereas what I and you touched on a good point. Ford on the lower trims, they are, you know it's less wow. You get an XLT 300, and I don't think you're gonna, especially in 2020 when the whole interior was just like this same color gray and it was plasticky. There was no wow factor. You're like, this is a work truck.
Well,
However,
I used to get a lot of you know that I've been a Nissan fanboy for a while, and of course Nissan's an easy company to pick on. And they all the Frontier or the Titan, oh, it's so plasticky, so plasticky. But I was at the 2020 Chicago Auto Show, and I was checking out the trimmer package in an F-250, and I was like, "There's more plastic in this thing than most full size trucks," and yet
yeah.
they kind of get a pass with that.
They do, and that, I am happy you pointed out because it really leads to my butt. It is a perfect butt in my opinion. Different strokes for different folks. If
Hmm.
we look at the F-150, you have an XLT 300. It's at least in 2021 they mixed some black and some gray, so the interior is actually, I kind of like it. I didn't like the 2020 XLT 300. I was thinking you need a sport 302 as a minimum condition to have like actually a pretty nice interior, but XLT 300, no. But how it works at Ford basically is they don't, as you upgrade trim, you're upgrading your how do you call it, your goodies are getting upgraded, so you're getting more luxury, but the mechanics stay the same. So if you look at an XLT 300, you have the same suspension, you have the same brakes, you have the same frame, you have all the aluminum, military grade aluminum paneling, so that will never rust. It's 32% more resistant to dents. It saves give or take 750 pounds on a Super Crew. So you're getting basically all the high quality materials and mechanics as you would on a truck that costs, you know, in Canada, an extra 30 grand. So if you look at some other brands, when you get their lower trim trucks, you get a lot of look, and you get a lot of look, and the interior is pretty awesome. But then you don't get as much mechanics. You don't get, as much payload. You don't get as good everything else. You kind of get stuck with the lower trim transmission. You won't have a 10 speed. You'll have a lower quality transmission, and everything, including the engine, will be lower grade. Whereas, you get an XLT 300 and you still have payload being around 2,000 pounds, 2,000 to 2,200 pounds. On the low end trim, you can throw on heavy payload and have, give or take, 2,700 pounds of payload, which is F-250 diesel or 2,500 diesel category. So, it's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Folks, yeah. Ford makes an incredible work truck, but they will bleed you for the goodies. Whereas elsewhere, they throw goodies to kind of like, it's like a nicely wrapped Christmas present, and, it's all shiny and whatnot. But then you open it up and you're like, oh, you mean this great deal came with a 4-cylinder with a turbo? You
Yeah.
freaking kidding me?
Well, so one more Ford question with you on this. How are you guys with the small diesels? I know, guys like diesels, and Ford and them, they've all done these little small diesels. Of course, Ford's doing away with that now, but
Yeah.
was that a big draw up there? Because I know for past 10, 15 years, I'm in a lot of off-road groups, and they're, oh, we got to have diesel. I need diesel, this and that. And then these companies give diesels, and here in America, then nobody buys them. Is I know the big diesel, yeah, people, a lot of oil up in your area, and a lot of guys using those trucks. But as far as small diesel, I don't see that at all.
Yeah, it's the same here. I could almost ask you, what diesel? Ford makes a diesel? What is
Right.
this is news to me. What? No, we don't see a whole lot of the 3 liter diesel. We didn't see it in the Transit, so it got canceled. F-150 almost never see it. People talk a big game. They say they want a diesel, they need a diesel, they're going to go off-roading with a diesel. And then soon as they find out that the diesel costs more to purchase, costs more to maintain, and if it breaks, it's not a matter of how many thousands you put into your motor. It's a question of how many tens of thousands you
Yeah.
put into a motor. They just cut it right out. It's a pipe dream. People get excited about it, but they don't jump on it whatsoever. And even Dodge. And it's funny because every time going back to a little history on this, every time the North American market gets a diesel, they royally screw it up. And I can't remember in the 70s, I think it was GM, they brought a diesel to market and it was a horrible failure. So then no one did diesels for years. And then Dodge did a diesel in, what is it, 2013 or 2014, the first one?
Yeah. Yeah. The one they brought from Fiat.
Am I allowed to say without getting into
Oh,
trouble that it wasn't a huge success in regards to reliability?
no, yeah, that first generation they brought over was horrible. And
Yeah.
I know GM right now, their little 3 liter diesel, it's like failing at 5 and 6 thousand miles. Like you're not even getting it broke in. So I was curious though about while we were talking about that about the little diesel because like you were saying, it's all talk. People want it till they have to pay for it, and then you find out your oil change is $400 and versus a lot of here in the States are used to driving up their little gas engine and it's $60. It's like
Yeah.
that's a smack in the face. And then you got fuel filters and everything. And yeah, it's crazy. Cigar Texan, I have to say, sir, it was freaking hot in Texas. It was 89 degrees, but we were outside a couple days and I mean, it's hot in Tennessee, but it's October and it was 90 degrees where I was at in Bee Cave, Texas, which I don't know if any of y'all know where Bee Cave is, but super nice town. I really like my time there. And I am sorry that I meant to reach out to you guys, and a couple here wanted to meet up, but you know, sorry guys. It was a quick trip for me. It was in and out. So Johnny, I greatly appreciate you being on the show tonight, man. Like I said, I know it was last minute, and I was like, I could ramble through this, but I was like, I want to talk to somebody, and so
No, it's good.
yeah. Oh, so they're asking, do I plan on getting mine in 21? Yes. My build date was pushed back. If you hadn't heard, I had a 9/27 build week, and now I have a 10/25, and let's hope that Darth Vader doesn't come in and change the deal again, and then I'm stuck with a Christmas build, but that I'm all in, man. So hopefully, my birthday is 11/21, so I'm hoping by my birthday I have a Bronco here to celebrate with. So, and usually November we're still in the 60s and 70s, so I could somewhat enjoy it, I guess.
Oh,
Um,
cool. That's like most of our summer, but transport was fast. I know
yeah,
mine they said they brought it in on the 16th of August, and I checked every single day in the computer system and I was like, "Hey, when is this going to get finished?"
yeah,
The 25th, I was like, this doesn't make sense. 9 days to build a Bronco based on F-150 knowledge versus other models because they build F-150s faster than any other model and they build them well. So it's not a slight against them. But,
yeah.
I was figuring Bronco, what max 4 days. The 25th, I find out that it says it's built and I should get it at the end of September and built the 25th according to the system, but the birth date on my vehicle, like the little sticker in the door, says August 21st.
Mhm.
And it showed up September 10th. So if you're built, Dave, on the 25th of October, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if you have that November 5th.
Yeah, well, what sucks is I'll be out of town because
Oh,
I'm going to be at SEMA in Vegas that week. So I'm hoping to document. I really want to document coming off the truck and having all the fun like that. But hey, man, to get it, I'll be happy. No problem at all. Let's see. Ford is making money on delaying Broncos. More demand, prices are going up. Why would they speed it up? Well, Ford's not actually making any more money
no.
on it at all. Now dealers can mark them up, or
Dirty dealers.
or I've seen I've seen these people flipping them and putting them in auctions, and they're going in auctions. Usually auctions are cheaper than retail, and these things are going for way 30-40% on some of these vehicles, higher than retail. So, but no, Ford doesn't make it a penny more on that. That's all dealers. Because it's basically Ford sells the dealer the car, and it's up to the dealer to honor MSRP or whatever they want to do. And there's no, I don't think, any money back or anything on Broncos right now. Probably won't be for 2 or 3 years, anything on that. Let's see.
At least 12 months.
Has anyone got a build date on Wild Track models yet? Bishop is asking. Yeah, I've seen Wild Track starting to be built again, which is that's kind of interesting because Ford had told us a few months ago, hey, we're going to get all these dirt mountain Broncos out, and that's probably the rest of our year. And then with all these VINs popping up, new orders are getting their VINs with hardtops. So they must have went through those pretty quick, all those dirt mountain vehicles. Let's see.
I'm disappointed, Dave. You're a Rapid Red guy,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously I don't run Ford. There's some things I'd do differently, and one of the main things I would have done is, you order paint, you have paint in the factory. It obviously takes a week to switch over the factory from 21 models. You fine tune all the machines and you get them into 2022s. What I don't understand is guys and gals that will be pushed in 2022. Why not reserve antimatter blue, rapid red, and obviously not lightning blue, because that was a first edition and it wouldn't make sense to make it as a 2022, but at least, and they're making them all this year anyways. Good on Ford. That's excellent. That's awesome on Ford's part. But rapid red, antimatter blue, why don't you just reserve the first 2 weeks of 2022 production or 3 weeks to pump out those colors to reservation holders, and then changing the paint at the paint gun station. What is that? You're going to close the line for a couple hours to clean out those guns?
It's not even that. They don't, a lot of it, I know when I worked for Nissan and you would watch them go through the paint booths, it's the same robot painting the colors. They change it, just, I don't know how they bleed it out or whatever they do, but it's not, I always assumed it was like, oh, we're painting white cars right now.
Yeah, me too.
They were just, no, it was on demand. Whatever colors they wanted to do is how they were doing it. I will say this though, I don't know if you guys can see this, but that lime green it's not showing up very well on camera. The lime green that Toyota is doing with their Tacomas and 4Runners, if Ford would do that, I'm all in. Even the wife kind of liked it, which I was really surprised. It's a hot, bright color. And I'm hoping I really am by 23. I hope Ford brings out some exciting colors. Not just oh, we're going to do khaki or something like that. I think they're silly for not doing like a baby blue. Some really throwback colors. And there's one thing I did want to ask you. Where do you stand on people pulling off their badges and putting the old school Bronco badges on them?
I like it. I like that old school Bronco badge.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ford likes it all that much because I feel like they're bringing that, right? They're going to bring that on the Heritage model. So whoever is building those is going to get, maybe a politely worded email to stop. But no, I like it. I'm in for it, but
I've heard they've already gotten that letter and they're continuing to sell them. So, and then I see now there's like 3 companies trying to sell those things. So cat's out of the bag on that. Is what it is. Ford will eventually shut them down. But no, I have mine right here.
Oh, right on.
In the box, man. I went gloss black. And so for mine, I do wish though, I know these are probably actual size of what the vintage were. I do wish they were just a hair smaller. But I am amazed how many, Johnny, that I don't know if it's like this in Canada, but I'm amazed how many people here in the States are pulling off those little triangles, which I think are silly anyways. You built a vintage looking vehicle and that doesn't sell me that vehicle, but they're sticking those on there, man.
Dude, I spent $500 to buy stripes that match that darn little square. I got to be the biggest tool in Canada, I remember I was like, hey, Marie-Pierre, that orange sticker kind of doesn't have anything to match with it. What do you think if I get orange stripes? Here's a picture. And she's eating her breakfast. And she's like, yeah, that's nice. So I thought that meant I could do it. And like,
Yeah.
as I said earlier in the channel, man, I ate crow on that. But
Yeah.
no, I wish I would have spent the money on the Bronco logo. And I bet lawyers wish they would have not made it look so much like the original, because all you have to do is change the size and change the italics. And then I believe, I'm not a lawyer, but
Right.
I do believe you're free of lawsuits.
Well, and yeah, I know here in the States it's like you can up to 80% of the original look or something. You have to just tweak it a little bit. But here's what I think. I think they'll do, and I know I'm going to have some vinyl cut for mine. So I'm good. The old badges said sport under there. They had a little red box that would say sport. I'm going to have Badlands just in a small graphic vinyl so I can put it under it, because obviously it is a Badlands, but I think these guys are missing the mark by not changing it, like you're saying, slightly, and just doing models. And I think they would sell a bunch more of these things. But these guys are even coming out where they're doing the outside trim and the body colors and stuff. It's really, really cool what they're doing with that. But expensive though, Johnny. $80 US for 2 of these little plastic pieces. And anytime my daughter or something's around, I'm hiding the box. I'm like, because I just know she's gonna be like, "Hey, look!" And then there goes a lot of money for no reason. But all right, guys, I'm about beat up. I've had a long 2 weeks, and my bed. I've only got to be in my bed for a couple days, and then I had to go back out on the road. So Papa Bronco here needs his sleep. And so, Johnny, when's your next video dropping, man? Anytime soon?
When I can, I've been dropping quite a few videos lately.
I
So
know
when
you're a
the
madman.
Yeah, and the black, and I work 50 some hours. I work about 55 hours a week at the main job that pays the bills.
Right?
So I gotta kind of ask my community what they want next. Do they want an escape plugin video? Do they want me to separate and do new commentary and more in depth on each of the vehicles? Because I drove the Maverick hybrid and I drove the EcoBoost, and instead of just going light on both, do I go in depth on each one? So I'm at the point where I don't really know how I need to move forward. And it's cool, it's you invited me on the show, and I was like, hey, that's pretty awesome.
I
I
took
get to
away from
speak
your
my
editing.
mind.
Hey, here's what's going to move the channel for your. I'm telling you, needle in your channel. Ford Escort. That's, if you could find one of them, that's really going to change your life.
I've owned a Ford Escort for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And someone offered me, I think I picked it up for like $500, and this thing was clean. So someone offered me $1,500, and I couldn't say no to money. So I was like, yeah, I'll sell you. And I regret it, because my buddy had a Ford Escort GT in the 90s. And I think every day we'd go and play, every day that we did play tennis, which was like 2-3 times a week, he'd catch about 1 to 2 feet of air. And that thing was unkillable. That was a beast.
Yeah. No, they were a weird name, but they were really cool little cars. I remember in the 80s, like, because it kind of took over from the Pinto, sort of. And my grandmother had a Ford Pinto, Good thing we never got rear-ended, or we would have exploded and died. But and if you guys want, there's some good YouTube channels on the whole lawsuits of Ford in the Pinto and how they could have spent, I think it was like 3 cents on a part, and they were too stubborn to fix it. And the Pinto was also the fastest from design to production car ever, as how fast they wanted to do it. But yeah, I survived a Pinto. That's the sticker I need right there. So Johnny, I greatly appreciate you being on the show tonight, man. And guys, I appreciate all the super chats. We've got some more content coming. I've got some videos. It may be Saturday before my next video drops, and I don't even know what it's going to be on. I'm thinking 4Runner. The 4Runner is a dinosaur, by the way, a 22 4Runner that looks older than a Ford Pinto. So that might be coming up, but I don't know. But Johnny, thank you for being on, man. I really appreciate this.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Of course. So guys, whether it be 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, you know the drill. It does not matter what you drive. Is Johnny going to get it this time? Because this has been your All Terrain Nation. And what are we, Johnny?
Tuesday night.
Nope. We're out. Peace, everybody.